been wonderful.
Thanks, Sal. I'm sorry.
Fucking guy. I'm giving you.
You had the same accent!
Okay, New York and New Jersey, the same accent, but New York sounds better.
The same accent, Greg!
Front door.
He actually left.
Hey, Anthony, where'd you get this podcasting stuff from?
It fell off the back of a truck. We're back on another episode of Breaking Bread, and I am thrilled and proud to announce that my new co-host is Sal the Voice Valentinetti. Sal, welcome to the show. It's an honor and pleasure to have you with me, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Ant. You're the best.
Thank you. If you would have told me a few years ago that I'd be doing a podcast with Sal the Voice, I'd say that you're lying.
Well, if anybody ever said that Sal the Voice knew what the hell he was doing with a podcast, they'd be lying.
I could. It feels like yesterday, and Greg's gonna make fun of me and say that I'm gonna gas you as always. But I will never forget that moment when I saw you on America's Got Talent, and I literally said to myself, I was like, you want to know what? I'm gonna be friends with that guy one day. Weirdest thing. I'm not your stalker. I totally promise. But it just kind of crossed my mind, and here we are.
Everybody says that, Anthony. No. Greg's just jealous, I think. It's natural, Right, Greg?
Jealous of the bromance?
I think so.
I mean, I don't know. We have the Long Island connection. You're in Queens, even though.
True. Me and Greg are both from the 516.
You want to know what? That's a great way to start the podcast. Is I feel like nobody talks about the different kind of Italians. Because there's Italian-American, there's Italian-Italian, but I feel like a subcategory of Italian-American is Long Island Italians, Queens Italians, and Brooklyn Italians.
Is that right? What's the difference, you think?
Me, I think that the Brooklyn Italians, it's hard to explain. They're the real off-the-boat ones to most. I feel
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Queens could be the same, though.
Yeah, there are a lot of off-the-boat Italians in Queens.
No, but Brooklyn,
we are literally above a store.
Yeah.
that's dedicated to off-the-boat Italians.
True.
And we
Fair
are
enough.
in
Queens.
There you go. See?
Yeah. But Brooklyn, you're going to tell me with a straight face that when you're Italian and you say that you're from Brooklyn or you say that you're from Queens, that they don't kind of look at you differently. I feel like it kind of matters, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. What's the beef with Long Island? This is another thing that's bullshit, Ant.
Tell me.
Yeah, Queens and Brooklyn happen to be on the same landmass of Long Island. Isn't it part of, when you look up, or when you, let's say, you go to one of those roadside attractions where they're selling, burnt pieces of wood for $40 a pop, right? And Greg knows what I'm talking about. And it's the map of Long Island. Do they cut it in half and give you half a map? No. They give you Brooklyn and Queens, too, because it's the same thing.
Isn't Long Island City Brooklyn?
Aren't most of the people from Long Island from Brooklyn and Queens?
Yeah, truthfully. But if you actually think about it,
triggered me, Anthony.
If you I can't explain it. You're geographically right. I can't even say it. It's so funny. But
You're telling me that something changes when you go from Belrose to New Hyde Park.
There's a magical line that separates it.
You mean to tell me that someone who grew up their whole life in
Almont,
let's say Lynbrook, right?
Ugh.
And
What?
I don't know, Howard Beach are 15 minutes from each other.
That's true.
And yet, if you grew up in Howard Beach, you have traditions from a place that's 2,000 miles away that are either different or more involved than the guy who grew up 20 minutes from you on the same piece of land.
I take the belt all the way down on there.
Greg, no one cares. Greg's Irish ass. German.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Are you Irish?
Yes.
You should have seen his shirt today. You should have seen the skit that we did today.
Gregory. I'll talk to you later. I'm eating a potato. What's an Irish 7-course meal?
What?
6-pack and a potato. What do you call an Irish guy that sleeps outside his house all night?
What?
Patio furniture.
Any Italian jokes, Greg? Any rebuttal, Mr. Producer?
I'm wearing my white sneakers and my tan jacket. I got dad jokes all day.
When I'm on the pod, I'll give my jokes.
Jesus, Greg.
Oh, St. Patrick's
You're
Day.
telling me that the Italian guy who grows up his whole life in Great Neck and the Italian guy who grows up in Bayside, Queens, they're so different.
I can't explain
How about
it.
this? I'll go even closer.
Okay.
I'll go even closer. Little Neck,
Okay.
Great Neck.
That's right here. That's literally
Both
you can
necks
throw
right next to each other.
neck bone.
Yeah. You mean to tell me that there's some sort of tradition that's different in their households?
I wouldn't say that the tradition is totally different. I'm gonna say if you go with like the masses, right? Like Mario Puzo wrote a book. It was called The Fortunate Pilgrim, not The Godfather. For like once in my life, I'm not gonna talk about the Godfather, but it was basically about Italian immigrants in Manhattan, Little Italy, that all they're basically trying to do is work to go to Long Island, to have like a nicer living, to not live in a tenement, the like whole thing. When they move to Long Island, they eventually assimilate a lot faster than they would in Little Italy, which makes sense.
Right, because you're more mixed in.
Yeah. So, like, I just feel like if you take, like, hypothetically, like, let's say you take that family that's now 2 generations down, and you take the same family that's in Little Italy 2 generations down, I feel like that there's going to be a slight difference.
Right. Because the Italians in Little Italy are still as bitter as they were when they first got here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like they're still battle worn.
Yes.
The ones on Long
Yes.
Island are a little more relaxed.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
I feel like the Italian American in Little Italy is going to be so pissed off
Yeah.
when he finds out his daughter's marrying an Irishman, whereas the Italian guy on Long Island is like, well, I did it to myself. I moved my kids out to fucking Long Island.
Exactly. So, like, I feel like there's kind of like a
among
difference.
the potato farmers.
St. Patrick Day themed pod. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, poor Greg.
Tell them what you think of what we do, what Irishmen do.
So, all right, you tell me that I'm wrong, right? If you look at like stereotypes, right? Like there's Italian stereotypes. Greg always comes to me and he's like, "Bapa da boopy," right? Beep da bapa da boopy.
Wow.
Doing all that stuff.
That's pretty terrible. And Greg gets so offended.
I know. Yeah.
That's so funny, Greg.
Wait. So there's that.
So, all right. So you think that Family Guy, you can go tell all the jokes they tell on Family Guy because they did it on Family Guy? I want to see you, Greg. I want to see you get in your freaking Buick right now.
Buick.
Drive to like Queensbridge and start doing Family Guy jokes and see how far you make it without getting boppity poopity.
So, which you're right about, but I was telling him. So I was thinking to myself, like, what do I picture when I picture like an Irish stereotype, like a bunch of guy with orange beards in a bar going har 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 har, kind of like a pirate. Like, and he told me, he goes, why aren't they pirates? I just thought it was funny, like, har, 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 har.
No, the Irish were never pirates.
Really?
Yeah, the English were pirates.
Yeah, but the same division. I mean, same like company, different like kind of division.
No, because even before there were cars, it was DWI. You would be driving a boat. Irish couldn't be pirates.
DWF, drunk while farming.
Hi, we're going to India. Why is it so cold? Hi, gee, we're in Antarctica. How'd that happen?
Do you believe there's any?
Seamus was supposed to be driving the boat. Seamus is passed out. He's got vomit down his shirt. Wow. At least when Seamus gets drunk on land, he ends up like in a tree or a bush or something. You get drunk at sea, pass out, that boat's just going. No Irish pirates.
Is that how Columbus discovered America?
Columbus
Columbus was Italian.
For real, Greg?
No, wait.
He was hired by the Spanish. He
Greg.
was hired by the Spanish.
Greg, He was sponsored by the Spanish.
Yeah.
Greg. That was a huge party foul.
I misspoke.
What day
I misspoke.
did we choose to celebrate Italian heritage? One day a year. What day is it?
Columbus Day.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue in
Do we
1492.
celebrate paella with yellow rice? No. On Columbus Day, right? Even though
I shouldn't have said
the boats were Spanish. See, Greg's learning.
Do you know the name of the boats?
Santa Maria, the Pinta. No. And
3 boats.
Mayflower?
3 boats. So we just asked Greg because if Greg's not on
Santa Maria or Santa
Greg,
Marina?
Greg,
They get the
that's all right.
stepbrother
That's
song.
all right. It's Greg. We just asked Greg, who's an expert on Columbus apparently. The guy was from Madrid or Barcelona or something like that, right? We just asked Greg what the 3 boats were that Columbus sailed, and right, it was the Santa Marina, which is fine. A lot of people say that. I'll give him a pass. The Pinto or the Pinta? The Pinta. Good. I thought he was referring to a Ford or a Bean. And the third one was the Mayflower.
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't even reach the Americas. He reached the Caribbean.
Now, which boat made it? Only one boat made it, Greg.
Long shot, Santa Maria.
Which, the Santa Maria, the Mayflower never made it? Never made it?
Mayflower dead.
The Mayflower made it. Where did the Mayflower end up when it got here?
In New England.
Right.
What is it?
What's the rock?
Massachusetts?
It's not Dodge Rock. It's not Chrysler Rock. It's Plymouth Rock.
Hey,
Sesame Street.
applause.
See, Greg is going to be a great father because he knows enough about the Mayflower to know where it ended up. And he knows enough about Columbus to name 2 out of the 3 boats.
I said Mayflower.
He goes, I said Mayflower and Pinto.
Santa Maria. Am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong,
What are the 3
Greg.
boats then?
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. The Mayflower.
Was the
The
Pilgrims?
Mayflower.
Shit.
This is proof.
Educational system in America.
Broken. The Mayflower was 200 years later. And who was on the boat? Who sat down for the first Thanksgiving with the Native Americans? But what would they call? Start with a P. The Pilgrims. The Pilgrims, Greg. The Pilgrims, Greg, came from where? Right, because of religious persecution. The Spanish didn't sponsor the Pilgrims to come to find India. They already knew this was here.
Silence. Cricket, 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 cricket.
I'm gonna go home.
Do you think that the whole and when I say this, I'm not in any way shitting on Irish people or St. Patrick's Day. I'm not in any way.
The way someone
But-
says, I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to offend.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come off that you're coming off that way.
All right, but St. Patrick was Italian.
Greg needs a microphone.
Yeah,
We need to get a microphone for Greg.
I was supposed to be the next guest
yeah, he is
9 months ago.
eventually. But
So what were you saying?
St. Patrick was Italian.
St. Patrick was Italian.
Yeah. Technically, he could be traced back to origins. I think it was the
Christopher
Romans.
Columbus was Italian, but according to Greg, he's Spanish. So
Who did you say was Portuguese?
St. Anthony was Portuguese.
St. Anthony was Portuguese?
St. Anthony of Padua was Portuguese.
Wow.
Portuguese.
Yep. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't ever think,
I
but
always thought that hair was an Italian thing.
right?
Yeah.
But so does that mean technically Italians can celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
No. The celebration of St. Patrick's Day has nothing to do with St. Patrick. St. Patrick chased snakes out of Ireland, or whatever the bullshit story they came up with is, right?
Yeah.
He didn't get drunk for 24 hours and vomit on the train. Like
The
that's
Eliza
not-
bar going into the city.
My father started on a railroad, right? 2 days he hated the most were New Year's and St. Patrick's Day because of the vomit he would have to clean off the trains.
My dad said Santa Claus was bad.
Has nothing to do with alcohol. Being Irish has nothing to do with being so drunk.
True.
People on St. Patrick's Day taking shots of green vodka. That's Russian. You must hate the Ukraine.
What about Irish soda bread?
What about, all right,
Comes from Italian bakeries.
right.
A lot
What
of 'em.
about corned beef?
Comes from Marion.
Jewish.
Yeah, true. It is Jewish.
Corned beef isn't even Irish.
It's American.
This is how stupid this is. It's not even Irish. It was just eaten by Irish people when they got here. Do you know they do the corned beef in Ireland now? For what?
Yeah, that's new. That's not
new.
supposed to be a
That's
thing.
not
Yeah.
even. It's Jewish.
Are you Jewish, Greg?
So
Like I am.
basically on St. Patrick's Day, they celebrate a bunch of stuff that was given to them by other people.
Wow.
The corned beef, because it was the cheapest meat you can get at the Jewish deli, right? In Lower Manhattan when they got here. The St. Patrick, Italian, on loan, right?
Yeah, you're right. Shit. See, but you can't say the same about Saint Joseph's Day, which is coming up.
Here's what we got to do. Right now, they're trying to cancel Christopher Columbus because yes, he found North America, right? Important, but then the whole genocide and smallpox and all that, syphilis, whatever. We got to find some dirt on St. Patrick. We got to find some,
Some inside stuff.
Liver disease.
I don't know, like what are they? I mean, does getting dirt on someone even work anymore? Look at that guy, the Brazilian guy on Long Island. The hell is his name? The congressman. He's a congressman.
Oh yeah. Shit. What's his name? Oh shit. He won and he was lied about everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Like his whole existence.
And then they find out he's done all these terrible things.
Yeah.
He's such a not only is he a shitty person for lying to everybody, but he's also a shitty person because he's done terrible, like he killed a dog or something like that.
Did he really?
I don't know. Listen, allegedly.
What the?
I don't know. But he's still there.
George Santos.
Yes.
George Santos is still there. So you think they would even care if we found dirt on St. Patrick?
That's a good point.
Or would they
'cause
still get trashed?
that
up on a
whole
train?
that whole thing makes no sense to me.
Not
just because,
a lick.
right? Because how do you not know this prior? Like with all the technology, all the stuff, this actually comes out after the fact magically. Like they're going back and seeing
I don't even
tweets
think
from like decades ago.
Anthony, I don't even think anyone's paying attention anymore.
Yeah,
I think we're all on autopilot
yeah.
with this stuff.
Could it happen to us
Could it happen to us?
on the pod?
What? Do you have any dirt?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
How you doing? I mean, there were some people that might allege, but
I had a conversation with my manager this morning. I said I'm going to go record a podcast. I'm going to start this podcast with my friend Anthony. I'm going to join his podcast, and he goes, "Oh, nice. This is where you get canceled." I said, how do you figure? He goes, "You like to speak your mind." I feel like people who disagree with that will automatically just tell everyone, don't talk to that guy. He's an asshole. Because he said this one thing.
you want to know what?
We don't even know what St. Patrick said because he was born
Yeah.
before iPhones.
To pivot towards like an Italian, like I guess theme. I think to myself, like my nonno came to this country 1960 something. He was 19, no money in his pocket.
He didn't fly here.
Nope, took a boat.
Right.
He actually came accompanying a dead body. It doesn't sound the way that it sounds, guys. But there was someone who had to be buried in America, and when that happens, the body has to be accompanied by like a person to make sure that it like gets there. So
He volunteered.
it was a trip to like America.
Well, like it was on the arm because of this person. Did he know the guy? Mm-hmm. Oh, he knew the guy.
Yeah.
So they were like, listen, this has got to go to America. You want to go to America.
Yeah.
You mind, babysitting
Yeah.
Claudio while he goes back to his final resting place?
Yep.
Wow.
That happened, and sure enough, he stayed. But like just to think to go to a new country, like you don't speak the language, like there's not all these programs in schools where people, they try to speak your language. He told them to like deal with it, and like I just can't picture the same thing happening now. Like could really like a 19-year-old from like another country come with no support whatsoever, come into this country like and build like a life from scratch? Is America
Absolutely.
the same?
Yeah.
You really think so?
I travel a lot. I take a lot of Ubers, and I meet people who are in this country less than 2 months, who are building a life.
True.
Because of these, you could start a business
True.
right away. If you have access to one.
Yeah. That is true.
There are people who come here and then are absolutely tapped and need to start from scratch. But there's a way you could start from scratch. Just about every city in this country has a group, an ethnic group of people that speak a certain language. Whether you're from, sub-Saharan Africa, or you're from Eastern Europe, or, you're from the Middle East, you will find someone, a group of people, or from Central America, you will find a group of people who speak your language, who can say, listen, if you have no skills or whatever, there's this job they're doing, they need a busboy at this restaurant that my friend works at, or, they need someone to stock shelves at this, Afghan grocery store, whatever. There's opportunity everywhere.
True.
And it's not just New York. I know how this is going to sound to people who don't come from New York, where there's such diversity and there's so many different types of people. It's kind of easy for everybody, or easier for everybody. I shouldn't say it's easy. But there are cities across the country, like out west, in the American Southwest and the West Coast, and I've seen it down south more and more and more. Like when people think, let's say you're Punjabi, you're from India or wherever, you come here, and you're like, well, what am I gonna do? I need to work with people. I could obviously you could learn English. That's number one. It's not so hard. It's not so easy. Or you could find people who speak your language. So in the American Southwest, a very popular occupation for Punjabis is truck driving. There are now on I-10 heading out west, there are Punjabi truck stops that serve vegan food and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's becoming more and more of an industry, like Italian Americans who are masons, or Greeks who own diners, or
Italians in sanitation.
well, so the dream is still alive if you want to come here with nothing. But I don't think you can get by not knowing anybody unless you have one of those.
Phone.
Unless you have access to a smartphone. I can do Uber or food delivery. And even then, you still need some understanding of the English language.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how difficult it was, when I lived in Miami. I have some knowledge of Spanish that I can, speak and understand some of it to an extent. When you're working with a delivery driver and you're trying to tell him to come around to the front, and there's going to be a door with a code, and you put this code and star and whatever, you get to a point where there's a very serious language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult for the guy to do his job. It makes it difficult for me to get my delivery. So, that's my opinion on the whole thing. I think that, right, that there are places you could go where people can help you out. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, other than that, you have a cell phone. You could get by that way.
That's true. I honestly never thought about it that way. I used to take like the old school approach where, like, you know, how is someone going to come from nothing to come here? But that does make sense. There is like a new network, I guess, that you can say that's more easily available to people.
I do
Especially with a
feel,
phone.
though, that in this country we're more tolerant of people who don't speak the language than other countries are.
True.
Like, if you go to another country,
For like France,
Right.
let's say.
and forget it, you don't even speak English. You try to speak their language,
Yeah.
and you screw it up.
Yeah.
They get really upset.
Yeah. That's happened to
They
me
won't
in
deal
Italy.
with you. Like, we were in, I forgot where we were. We were, I think, Puerto Rico with my family. My mother doesn't speak Spanish, but she speaks Italian.
Yeah.
And Italian's pretty close to Spanish. She starts speaking like Italian to this woman. She was just very unhappy about it.
She just wasn't having it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like never kind of understood that because I always felt like it's the ultimate sign of respect that you're trying to, like, you know, like speak the language of someone in their country.
See, we live in America. America's a lot nicer to people.
True.
Although the most famous people are people who are not so nice to people. That's just what they're known for.
Yeah.
We're the most tolerant when it comes to, you know, people speaking other languages. We at least try.
Yeah.
Because this is a melting pot after all. People speak all different types of languages.
That's true.
But, like, if you went to Italy and tried to speak, you know, like my mother, we were in Italy and she was speaking, like, dialect. And let's say we were in Rome. And people are like, huh? You know? I don't know if it's just because they don't understand it or because it's antiquated. But nobody speaks dialect anymore.
True. I speak very broken Italian, meaning like it's Italian, it's English, it's mixed. Like, it's not very good, but it's enough to get by. Like to talk to people, to ask for directions.
Yeah, I don't
It's-
pronounce it perfectly. But
Yeah.
Like if I'm sitting with my Aunt Louisa, I gotta explain something to her. I can get by.
Yeah, exactly.
I can get by better than I can understand her.
Yeah. But I found in northern Italy, they want no part of that.
Do you think that makes you any less Italian?
That's a great question. I honestly don't think so. I don't think it makes you any less Italian that you can't speak Italian because I feel like being Italian is like a mindset.
I did a TikTok with Nick Turturro where we're talking about Sicilian because he's Sicilian and I'm Napolitan. We're talking about the difference between the people. Mm-hmm. People are like, these people don't know what they're talking about. They probably don't even speak Italian. Like that was their hill that they died on.
Yeah.
They probably don't even speak Italian. If you were raised in Italy, chances are you speak English because they teach English in pretty much every school.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect you to. Right? But if your parents were born in Germany and you eat German food and you celebrate German traditions and holidays, I wouldn't say that you weren't German.
Yeah.
Just because you were born and raised in Italy.
Yeah.
You probably don't speak German either.
Yeah. I think it's more of, I like notice the people that say that are more like, you know, these Italians in like America are appropriating our culture type stuff. I feel like that's where it comes from.
Appropriating our culture.
Who the hell knows?
Let me tell you something. As someone who's been to Italy, they're not really tight on maintaining traditions there.
They're
you
not.
go to some of the smaller towns, sure. You know? Mm-hmm. Like Sabino, Michela, Rocco, their family's from Sanza, right? Mm-hmm. And they do this, you know, they still have traditions that are hundreds of years old. Mm-hmm. That they still do. Their father still goes back to the town from Brooklyn and celebrates these holidays and traditions.
Yeah.
But in general, it's not like it's such a big deal to most Italians. As big of a deal as it is to Italian Americans who are trying to preserve some of our culture historically in a melting pot. You talked about before, what makes Brooklyn Italians more Italian and Lower East Side Italians more Italian than Long Island Italians. Well, because they're more traditional and whatever, and they're more densely populated or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. How about that? We're all just trying to preserve the traditions because we don't want to lose it here.
Yeah.
Because in America, what's unique about America is that everyone's from somewhere else. So everyone has this pride and this identity with where they come from as people, as family, whatever it is. And in a way, when Italians say that we're not Italian, like nothing about us makes us Italian. That's why it's such a drag, because of that. Because we're working so hard to preserve traditions that they don't even really care about on the other side anymore.
That's true. I mean,
because we don't. Why? Because we don't speak the language. Well, less.
I just don't I don't get that concept when people say that, because I get that all the time because I don't look Italian. I get that all the time. The amount of slack and flack, whatever you want to call it, that I get is insane, and I'm second generation.
What does the Italian look? Are you supposed to look like a bowl of spaghetti?
Danny Zuko from Grease, that's what they think.
All right,
that's a stereotype, John Travolta in Grease.
In the same hand, all the gypsies look Italian.
I know.
Does that make them Italian?
Yeah.
No, typically they're Romanian.
Yeah.
Which is so close to Italy.
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what the Italian look is? Everywhere. Italy was probably the most invaded piece of land in all of Europe because of where it is in the middle of the Mediterranean. Yeah. There is a little bit of everywhere in Italians. So what are Italians supposed to look like? I have cousins over there who are total redheads.
Yeah.
Fair skin, freckles, red hair.
Same.
They look Irish. Irish as can be. They're Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't speak Irish.
They don't speak Gaelic. Right?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is it Gaelic, right?
One of them.
But isn't that an ancient language, Gaelic?
No one really speaks it.
All right.
So you speak English with an accent.
Yeah, that's Irish.
Gaelic is an actual language.
Irish is English with an uninterpretable accent.
Uninterpretable accent.
No, Scottish is uninterpretable.
Either one. Pick either of those northern territories. Try to figure out what they're saying. It'd be funny? Watch an Irish guy argue with a Scottish guy.
Oh my God. How the hell could you make that out?
They actually get along more than the English and Scottish.
You go to northern England, you can't understand what they're saying. They're speaking English. You go to Jamaica, you can't understand what they're saying. They're speaking English.
Yeah, true.
For the most part.
I don't know if this is going to get this in trouble or not, but you just made me think about it, and it's a fun topic. If you had to live with another person, and when I say live, I mean in a relationship with, who spoke another language, which would you want, which could you not handle? Because I feel like that's never talked about. I don't know, me personally, I don't know if I could live with a girl that had this
Probably German. Because it's already
Yeah.
very difficult to figure out if your woman is mad at you or not. And then,
Schnein!
And then you work in that cold, it sounds like she's screaming at you.
Yeah.
I think Adolf ruined that for Germans everywhere. I think all those those black and white tapes of him just yelling in German has ruined the German language for because now everyone just sounds angry. They sound like they're they're pissed off. They're upset with you, and they're about to invade Poland.
For me, it would be Russian.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just don't know if I'd be able to handle it all the time.
They scare you.
A little bit. A little bit.
I feel like Russian's not that bad.
I don't know. It
Bro,
depends.
when you hear Nico Bellic speaking Russian,
Nico
it's very
Bellic.
different
Yeah, true.
than when you
true.
hear, like, you know, a woman speaking Russian.
True.
Like, a woman speaking Russian can be, like, you know, fair and dainty, whereas a woman speaking German, violent. Violent.
She could be telling you that.
Look, say Greg's last name.
Heinrich.
Try to say it daintily.
Fuck. Fuck. Heinrich.
No. Heinrich.
Heinrich.
Means Henry in German.
No.
Du
every
du
German-
hast.
Yeah. Every German sentence sounds angry. I feel like
What-
Austrians just have like an inflection in their tone of language. Like Italian is very musical.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a music to the Austrian language, even though it's almost the same as German.
It's more upbeat.
It sounds a little better, like Belgian. It's close, but it still sounds a little more music. There's a little more music in it than German.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that would be difficult.
Now, which would you like to hear? Which, if you had to pick someone with an accent that was not English, like, you know, American English.
Not an American English accent.
Yeah. You had to pick one to live with for the rest of your life.
Oh God, I don't know. Probably Italian, since I'm so used to tuning it out.
Yeah.
All right, you can't choose Italian
Why can't we choose Italian, Greg?
because it's a language you're
You
using.
got something against Italian?
Oh my God, Greg.
No, I feel like that's fair.
Let's
I feel
take
like that's,
taking the easy card out. You
All right.
Portuguese sounds good.
Portuguese.
it was very random.
What is a Portuguese accent?
That was very random.
Accent. Like it's like a mix of
A
Spanish.
Brazilian accent is I feel like is pretty much the same as any Spanish speaking accent.
Yeah, it is.
Even though it's not Spanish, it's
Speaks
Portuguese.
you in Spanish. It sounds nice. She could be saying any. She should say anything.
So Greg gets excited when he walks into like
Yeah.
A restaurant where they're speaking Spanish.
Do a beautiful Spanish woman speaking.
He
to
speaks
you.
Spanish to like the workers all the time. It's
Yeah?
like hysterical. We'll like walk into like a place
Well, it's like how
and
you
he's
guys-
like,
it's like how you guys can speak and understand Italian, but like to an extent, it's the same thing.
he's like,
Okay.
"Que pasa, primo?" And I'm just like, "All right, all right, Greg, tone it down a little bit."
It's Spanglish or kitchen Spanish.
Wait, so
What? So you didn't? You said Russian is one you can't.
Can't.
What's one you'd be excited to hear?
Australian,
Australian.
Sandy.
I like Australian.
Picture living with Sandy.
I like Australian.
Or maybe like a Southern Belle.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's
100%.
American. You said no. You said no American.
True,
Australian is Australian.
English.
No, it's Australian. You're talking about an accent. So you're talking about somebody speaking English, Greg, with an accent.
Okay. Australian, they speak
If they were speaking another language, you wouldn't be able to understand them anyway.
Australian, they speak English.
Right.
Okay. It's still English.
All right, so let's revamp the conversation. Let's an accent that's not our own.
Anthony. Greg, listen to me.
Anthony said one that's all
Greg.
They're on a
Greg!
different
Continent.
Your question, Greg. What accent could you not live with or live with? Right? Your question. It was your
Well,
question.
That was his question.
My question.
All right. Was it? But what was his question?
He interjected and said, not in a bad way. He interjected and said Southern Belle.
Which is American. You said not American.
Yeah, I did say not American.
Bell is.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble? Why? See, I was going to say.
You have him yelling at me.
I was going to say. Greg, stop. I was going to say. Long Island accent, so that I wouldn't get murdered when this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
You backed me into a hole, you piece of garbage.
You have to make it a little funny.
Greg, no Mike Greg over there. Greg, no one's going to hear what you're saying. Can they? Hold on, Greg, say something.
Can you guys hear me from here?
Barely, Greg. It's not even, you're barely registered.
Camera audio.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They're recording separate audio? That's great news.
Okay, so non-English speaking.
So that one is probably picking up everything that he's saying.
Well, no, so non-Americans. You can't say Southern. Australian is fair. I choose Australian if I can't have Italian.
I just think it's
Which, by
Sandy.
the way, is bullshit that I can't have
New
Italian.
Zealand's similar, but I like New Zealand too. It's similar. New Zealand sounds a lot better.
It's the same
such a
thing.
stink.
It's the same thing.
You made such a problem, Greg.
You say that.
Greg, you made such a problem when he said Australian.
Unless you're picking a native like a
You said-
Samoan,
Greg,
it's
you
the
made
same thing.
Greg,
South African, Australian, and New Zealand, they all sound similar. If you say
South African is a different language, Greg. They speak Afrikaans.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
different.
yeah.
There's like 70 different languages.
Have you been to South Africa, Sal?
This is the same guy that said Columbus came over on the Mayflower. Greg.
Afrikaans is not the only language that they speak.
Greg,
They have 70 languages.
Listen to me,
They
Greg.
have 70.
New Zealand is the same fucking answer as Australia.
You say it to them and they'll fucking rip you apart.
We're not saying it to them. I mean, maybe we are. But Greg, listen to me. You can't drag Anthony for saying Australian and then come out with, I like New Zealand. Like what?
But that's the most Greg answer ever.
That is the most, it's literally
It is a Greg
next
answer.
door.
Okay, is that saying the same thing? How
It takes you less time to breaststroke from Cuba to Miami.
Yeah,
than
but
it
I
takes
wouldn't
you to go
consider
from
them.
New Zealand to Australia.
Yeah, but that's the same thing as saying that.
All right. So that's like
Same thing as
saying, wait.
Sicilian and another part of the country
It's not,
is the
because
same.
what if it's Argentina and Cuba, or Argentina and like Spain? It's still Spanish. Different kinds of Spanish. It's still Spanish. They might sound slightly different. The
They have
accents.
different accents.
Yeah.
But New Zealand
It's like
and
United
Australia,
States. Yeah.
it's like saying Brooklyn and Queens.
Yeah, yeah. It is like saying Brooklyn and Queens.
Sicily and Sardinia is the same thing.
No, it's not.
Oh, but it's right next to each other.
No, they're
But
not.
it's the same thing.
They're not.
They're not
but
right next to each
Oh,
other.
now all of a sudden, because it's Italian, it's not. Oh.
No, you know why? Because they speak different fucking languages, Greg. They're two different dialects of Italian.
But it's the
It's
same
the
thing.
same English in Australia as New Zealand. Maybe they call breakfast something different.
Okay, so what's next to Naples?
What town is next to Naples, a city?
What he's asking, what's next to
All right, so
Campania?
there's like a
Let's say-
Neapolitan
let's say-
dialect, there's a
let's say-
Sicilian dialect, but you
my
can
God.
go to Body, like they say that they speak Chinese, like there's like
Yeah.
100 different.
It's like saying Barese and...
You can get to Bari in 2 hours from Naples by car, maybe 3, right? And yet they speak an entirely different language. Here's the difference, Greg. Here's the difference. They're connected to each other, right? New Zealand is a completely separate country from Australia. So you got something there, Greg. You're going in the right direction. Here's where it falls apart. They all speak the same fucking English.
So you just tell... You know,
I know what you.
It's the
at the end of
same
the day.
accent, Greg.
Oh wait, I have the perfect thing.
England and Australia, both funny sounding types of
Wait,
English.
Hold on, wait.
England and
I
Australia.
can solve this.
Okay.
If you're writing it down on a piece of paper, the English is going to be the same. That's what sound means. The English is going to be the exact same,
okay.
minus the U in color.
And but it's also
I mean, if you go from Dominican
pretty
Spanish,
much
if you
the
go
same
from-
accent.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me
Yeah, but you said
that
the same
there's
thing
a
with
difference?
Spanish. You said the
Hold
same
on.
thing with Spanish. If you
Hold
go
on.
from Dominican to Cuban to Puerto
No,
Rican...
but if you
Is there
write
a
it down,
difference
you're spelling
between
it the same.
An Australian accent and a New Zealand accent.
If you look at Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican,
Here's an
El
answer from
Salvadorian,
Wikipedia.
Chilean,
The
it's
New
very
Zealand
different.
accent is most similar to Australian accents, particularly those of Victoria, Tasmania, New South Wales, and
Tasmania.
South Australia, but is distinguished from these accents by the presence of 3 clipped vowels, slightly resembling South African English.
Did she say that New Zealand was influenced by South Africa?
Influence. What did she say?
She said that there are 3 clicked vowels in the New Zealand accent.
Yes.
There are 3 clicked vowels in the New Zealand accent that makes it similar to South African. However, the New Zealand accent, the first thing she said, is most similar to Australian. That's like saying, you know,
argument was because...
I could live with a girl who was from West London, but I couldn't do it if she was from Southampton.
Okay, but it's still the same language.
It's the same accents, the same part of the country, England.
Okay, but if you look at Wales versus South London,
Welsh, English, little different.
certain people, a lot of people in Wales, not a lot of them speak Welsh.
How about this? How about this? I had a
Or
nurse
Scotland and England.
when I was in the hospital a few weeks ago. I had a nurse who was Welsh, and right away from her accent, I could tell she was Welsh. That would make sense.
Okay,
But if you could tell, Greg, if you could tell, I'm going to tell you full of shit if you say you could tell right now. If you told me, I'm just telling you what I'm going to say. If you told me that you could tell if two people were talking, one from New Zealand, one from Australia, if you could tell by listening to them that one of them was not from the same place as the other,
It would be very hard.
you'd be full of shit if you said that.
Okay, so then what about Scotland and England? Same place.
Very easy to tell them apart.
I understand that, but it's the still
Scotland and Ireland.
Like he said, written down, it's the same language.
No, Greg. I mean, somebody speaking with a Scottish brogue is going to sound different than somebody speaking with an English accent. Any English accent. Cockney, London, whatever it is.
Okay, but within the English languages there, you can tell who's South London, who's Cockney, who's...
Yeah, because their accents sound different.
but similar.
I don't know if I could deal with Cockney either.
Yeah, no. I get the argument, I do. But I'm
Australian is way too close to New Zealand. My point. .com, period,
.net,
the end.
.org.
My point is that you can't say, I know you would love, I know Anthony would love to hang around a woman who has an Australian accent. He could live with that.
Oh my God, Sandy.
But Greg goes, you know what I like? New Zealand. What?
But that's the most Greg answer ever.
It is. Because it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's a point for the point of making a point that's counted a point that's been made.
He just cleaned his hands because he's gonna murder us with hand sanitizer.
You get the fucking hot plate and burn my fucking fingertips off.
That's like, that's like someone in, I don't know, like we could probably tell. Well, I don't even think we can tell the difference.
All right, so what about New Jersey and New York accent?
I was just about to say that. That's like someone in Texas going, like, they're all going, I really like a girl with a New York accent. And and then this fucking gooba goes, I like New Jersey instead.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point.
Like, I like a Boston accent, but not a Rhode Island accent.
Yeah.
What?
So they're similar.
No, it's
And
a
you-
New England accent.
No, I know, but you're...
They're all a little different.
It's like East Coast. Like even Philly and New York. Like you're gonna say like
So voting,
No.
off of that...
Philly, how about this?
Voting
Philly
off
and
of
New
that.
York are different enough.
Voting off of that, New York and New Jersey is very similar, yes?
Okay,
The
slow your
The
roll.
New York accent sounds a lot better than a New Jersey accent because...
But how could you say a lot better when they sound almost like that?
Yeah,
Like,
but you
you
can
mean
tell-
like a North Jersey
Yeah,
accent?
but you tell me...
You mean like somebody from like
Yes.
yeah.
Elizabeth?
Because it's more harsh and it's more annoying than...
Because then you have the people from the rest of Jersey who start to have different accents.
Australia has a more harsh and a more annoying accent than New Zealand.
It's been wonderful.
Thanks, Sal. I'm sorry.
Fucking guy.
I'm giving you...
They're the same accent!
Okay, New York and New Jersey the same accent, but New York sounds better.
The same accent, Greg!
Front door.
He actually left.
Greg, there is as much difference.
Oh, I hope you know I'm just fucking with you.
I don't believe that.
There is as much difference. Excuse me. There you go. It's perfect. There is as much difference, Greg, between an Australian accent and a New Zealand accent as there is a difference between an orange and a fucking Clementine. They look exactly alike.
That's actually true.
They're different sizes.
That's a very good point. It's like that mini orange.
There is as much difference. That's like saying that there's no difference between a Boston accent and a New York accent.
Should we phone a friend right now?
North Jersey.
Should we phone a friend? Should we phone Little Mo?
A North Jersey accent versus a Long Island accent, as similar as they are, they're different.
Phone a friend.
They're a little different, but like, what about a South Jersey accent?
It's more Midwestern-ish, like with that weird twang.
Midwestern, but like it's got a
Does it have like
Delco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Oh god.
Water.
Border boys, Berta boys.
Like, you know, what do they say? The fightins.
Greg, could you close that door the whole way?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I disturbed the force when I walked out on Greg.
Sal, just for future reference for our viewers, what are some guests you would like to have on Breaking Bread, just off the top of your head? Like some people, like, you know, they're like, hey, I'd really
Who do I
love
wanna
sit
talk
down.
to?
Yeah, who do you want to talk to?
I don't know.
On the air.
I want to talk to you. That's why we started this.
Aw, likewise.
You know?
Likewise.
I don't know. I don't know if I have any prospects for guests.
Little Mo?
Yeah. Lil Mo needs his own podcast.
He does.
That's a podcast.
Little Mo?
Just to sit with him for an hour and let him rip.
100%. We could ask Greg about that.
See, here's the thing. Lil Mo has a lot of great perspective on stuff.
He does.
You know? Culturally, he's Italian. His wife is Mexican. Mm-hmm. He grew up in Queens, you know, around, you know, knock around guy. Now that he's traveling a lot, he's going to have a lot more unique perspective.
Yeah. Traveling with Mo is a trip. Wouldn't trade
Anthony,
it
I
for the
think
world.
you've just been replaced, honestly. I'm sorry to tell you. Let's get Mo in here. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Greg. Who do you think?
Like I said before, like Jimmy's a good one. I think he'll be good.
Jimmy Big Muscles, great guy.
Oh yeah, Jimmy.
Love Jimmy.
We did get in the car with Jimmy.
Yeah. I had so much fun doing
Oh my
that.
God.
A blast.
We did an episode of Get in the Car where we went to Jimmy's grandmother's house for Sunday dinner with his whole family. Epic.
That was one of the most authentic Italian experiences that I've ever had. Like that was like full blown, like a scene in like a movie.
Yeah, it was cool.
Which it basically is. I mean, it's a TV show.
What about you? Who do you want to have on?
Good question. Who do I want to have on? George Lamond,
The freestyle guy.
the freestyle guy.
Why is this?
I would love to talk about the connection that Italians have to freestyle, just because it's technically really more geared towards the Spanish, you know, kind of community.
Well, yeah, that's like Judy Torres and
Yeah.
Cynthia and yeah.
Yeah, it's like really more geared towards the
TKA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Italians are obsessed with it, or I shouldn't say Italian Americans.
Well, it's house music.
Yeah.
You know, like club music.
Yeah, so I just feel like nobody's dived into that enough yet. I feel like he would be able to offer a lot of perspective because you're taking, you know, one of the most popular artists and you're talking to him about it.
True.
Oddly enough, like, you know, like we're not talking about Dean Martin here. Like we're like talking about like, you know, a whole different aspect of Italian culture. Italian American culture. Because I'm going to get sued if I keep saying Italian culture.
I want to have New York Nico on because I like the similarities between Jewish culture and Italian American culture.
Very true.
There's
Very true.
tremendously straight lines from Jewish culture to Italian culture. And the only reason I know this for sure is because I have Jewish friends that I spend time with, you know, like Sephardic friends that I spend time with. I stay at their home. We do Shabbat together. You know, they've come over my home and shared meals and everything. So definitely, anybody, even a rabbi. Let's just grab a random rabbi. Let's get in the car. Let's go to Borough
Get
Park.
in the car.
I brought the truck. We'll pull up on a rabbi, throw him in the back, and say you're going to be a guest on our podcast. Or else.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
I feel like the first thing that came out to my mind, because you're right. For anyone that I've known, the people, for the Jewish culture that I've been around in my life, I've seen a lot of similarities. I honestly think that the guilting from the families is
The parents.
like, yeah, fucking
Very
forget
similar.
it. Yeah,
Very similar.
yeah.
Like, what'd your parents think about when you quit your job to do this? Which, by the way, this is social media marketing. That's how Anthony and I came to really get to know each other. Anthony's behind all my recent TikTok success.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I look like for you to allow me to take a crack at it and trust you and trust me with your brand. You know, it's really an honor.
Okay.
But
This isn't two teenagers texting each other how much they love each other. We don't have to one up each other's paragraphs with emojis.
fair enough.
I just asked you what your parents thought about it. I mean,
What? So old school Italian parents. I mean, hey, mom, dad, I'm gonna go quit my 9 to 5, and I'm gonna, be a social media influencer, because that's basically what it kind of sounded like to them. Not too keen on it. I just kind of had to do it.
your mother's probably terrified.
She was terrified. My dad was more like scratching his head, like, how the fuck is this kid gonna make a dime?
Because your dad knows that there are alternate incomes than a 9 to 5 job.
Yes,
He knows
yes.
that there's options in the world.
Yes, yeah. So
Your mother just wants you to make money and not end up on the street or in
Yeah.
the basement.
exactly.
You know?
I mean, I got that speech like about 100 times. Oh, you're gonna be in the street. You're gonna see. Favorite Italian saying is, "You're gonna see one day."
Right.
But you want to know what? We're sitting here now. I'm here with you. I do have to say that they came around for as much grief as they gave me
Yeah,
in the
of course.
beginning. They came around and they're very supportive. So, how was it like for you with?
I mean, I really
singing?
didn't give my parents a choice. I was on a national television show, and millions of people went on and kvetched about how much they love me. So,
Man.
that made it a little easier.
Yeah, of course.
To break it to mom.
No, but prior to that,
Oh my God, my mother would be like, if you don't do well in school, you're gonna be a garbage man. And
Yeah.
That's before I knew how great being a garbage man was. We were in the pandemic, and I hadn't worked in a couple months, which is fine. I had savings and everything, and we were all kind of just waiting for things to come back. My mother slips me a pamphlet for a trade school with the plumber's page folded down. Like anyone else, all of my Medigon friends, right? They say to their parents, I want to be a Broadway actor. And their parents go, oh, of course, you should be a Broadway actor. I can see your name in lights. 2 months, we were in the middle of a pandemic. No one was going to work. My
No
mother
one.
goes, I can see your name on the side of a Ford Econoline van. Right? Sal the Voice Plumbing, best pipes in the business. Unbelievable. At least that's what my therapist said. Me, I think it's hilarious. 2 months into it, my mother thinks I should be a plumber. Millions of people pouring their love out, voting for me on television. Simon Cowell said, and I quote, if you're going to do this music, it's either in you or it isn't. And it's in you, Sal. My mother said, yeah, but maybe, he's also got a knack for unclogging drains. We don't know what other talents he has,
that's
So-
the most Italian thing.
My father is like exact opposite. My father comes with me on the road everywhere. Like he absolutely loves it. My mother, like, she loves it, but she doesn't trust it.
Yeah, yeah.
My mother doesn't trust anything. My music teacher, I had a teacher. I was playing the baritone horn. Tells my mother, you should consider getting Sal singing lessons. And my mother thought he was full of shit because he was just trying to get more money out of her for singing lessons.
Oh my God, yeah. That's like the most Italian thing ever is that they always think that someone's trying to get money out of you for something.
Oh,
Like no one could be honest. At
Because
some
what
point.
is this country? The people who don't come from here.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah, right.
Meanwhile, you go to Naples. My cousin came home on a train from Naples to Saviano. Saviano's outside of Naples. It's in the region, but Campania, but it's a little outside of Naples, by Nola. Comes back, gets off the train, goes to buy a coffee, reaches into his back pocket for his wallet. His hand went right through. Like they cut his pocket and let his wallet fall out. And yet, America is the land that
Right.
people are trying to get one over on you.
I got asked to take I forgot what test. Local 3, electrician's test.
Which is a great job.
It is a great job. Not for me, but great job.
My father was on the Long Island Railroad. My uncle's on the Long Island Railroad. My cousin's on the Long Island Railroad. Long Island Railroad is like the nepotism capital of the world. All I got to do is drop a dime, and I can have a great job with benefits for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You could totally see me as a union rep, right? But I love what I do, and I wouldn't give it up for nothing or nobody. And I'll figure out how to make it work, because I love it that much. But your parents are constantly worried about you. That's why they want you to go for Local 3. How long ago was this?
Jeez. This was a while ago. This was now they're okay. Truthfully speaking, now they're okay, thank God. This was like 2 years ago maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because they figured out he's making enough to pay rent, he's making enough to have a car,
Yeah.
he's making enough to feed himself.
Yeah.
That's all we care, he's happy.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say Local 3, they got some racket.
Man, you don't know.
They got some racket, man.
But what's the whole thing? They could furlough you. They could call you up.
I
Be
know,
like, hey,
I know. Yeah.
Hey, I know. Listen. I know your kids. The Sweet 16 is coming up, but you're gonna have to take off of work for the next 4 months.
Yeah, yeah. It is weird like that.
That's nuts. That's
Yeah.
bananas.
Yep.
That's like a. Well, I mean, you don't lose your benefits.
No.
That's at least one good thing about it.
I guess, well, a lot of them go to work at Home Depot
Yeah.
in the meantime.
What do you do? Like a little electrical work.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. Listen, I get that. I make a joke at my shows. I set up the song "Just a Gigolo" with the joke, and the way I set it up is, what else am I gonna do during a pandemic? I have no skills and no degree, and that joke is rooted in reality.
Yeah.
In my mother's own fear. Oh my God, he has no skills
I'm
and
just
no
a
degree.
gigolo.
If this doesn't work out, what the fuck is he gonna do? That's a real fear that our parents have. Because our parents are born of people who came here with nothing. Who had a constant fear of losing it all. They didn't have anybody to fall back on. Their family was relying on them. My grandmother came here with nothing. And then her whole entire family basically relied on her and my grandfather to get started here.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. Times are a little different, right?
Agreed. That's deep. People don't going back to what we said in the beginning. People really don't realize how lucky and fortunate that we are. And maybe you want to know what? Going based off of what you said earlier, maybe it's time I changed my outlook. Maybe it's time I realized that maybe this new America is the new, I guess you can say, business world is our own kind of version of what our grandparents did.
It's a new opportunity.
Yeah, it's a new opportunity.
Right, but you got to find how do we do it? We have associations with growing up Italian, and associations with people like Lil Mo and the Scarlata brothers and Nicky Smiggs and my comedian friend Mike Nicolio. We all get together because we're culturally very similar. We're all, either born of Italian American immigrants or the grandchildren of immigrants. We're all part of this community. So we stick together. We help each other out. Frank DiPasquale, he's a restaurant magnate in Boston. He said that his mother used to say to him, do with those who are better than you and pay their way. Meaning get together with like-minded people who can help you out and help them out as much as you can. But if we can do that, then the opportunities are endless. You talk about you're a content creator. Like that's what you say, listen, I'm a content, I get to enjoy a career as a content creator. I'm blessed. There is an endless, I travel the country. I travel the world, but especially in this country, you don't have to leave its borders to find some interesting shit. There are crazy people everywhere here. There are crazy situations everywhere here. There are crazy celebrations everywhere here. Even in just the Italian American community, nationwide, there are different traditions. There are different stuff. Like I'm going next month to the St. Joseph's, or this month, to the St. Joseph's Day celebration in New Orleans, and seeing how they do stuff differently down there. Then we celebrate certain things like Columbus Day in New York. Like they don't have the same cultures, traditions, whatever. Even in that bubble where I do get in the car, there's so much to see, so much to do. So your oyster is huge because you have all these interesting people, and just in our Italian American community. But then beyond that, I obviously see you going beyond that.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you. And I guess, that's honestly the perfect way to wrap it up, I guess. Like, we're talking about the future. We're talking about things that we have going on, plans, Italians working together. I really think that, for the future look of this podcast, the future look of Italian culture in America is bright. It's bright if we all work together, like how you said, and we keep the culture alive.
You basically started out knocking doors.
Yeah.
And not literally, but
yeah.
Asking people, listen, I can help you out with this. This is what I do. This is what I know.
Yeah.
Now, like looking around, people could see, look, he's got a green screen over here. He's got a little cafe scene over here. He's got grandma's basement over there. He basically built an office, but also, a place that his creators can come and make more content. Constantly pushing towards that. So
yeah.
You keep doing that. I mean, it's endless. You take what opportunity you're given as you go along, and you build on that. I was on America's Got Talent. I know people who come off of shows like that and don't really make much of it.
Yeah.
I had to make the most of it from where I started. 7 years later, it's still paying my bills. That's something.
God bless.
Look at a guy like Terry Fader. Terry Fader's off the show, I don't know, 10, 12 years? Still's got a career.
Yeah.
Landau Murphy, one of my contemporaries. I've done a couple shows with him. He's off the show many years, still has a career. You are now getting opportunities as you build your business that'll help you create more opportunity. And then you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah. I have to say that I couldn't have done it without people like you helping me along the way. And, just as...
Talking about Fazul's, by the way.
As things continue to grow, I'm excited, and I want a bunch of other people like you and I to come here and say, hey, Anthony, we want to do a podcast. That's what I built this place for. It's exactly what you said. I want a place where people can, find a new, they can do what we did, do what I did, quit your 9 to 5, and you can come here in the right way. I'm not advocating for people to quit their jobs and just post on Instagram, but in the right way, come here and make a new opportunity for themselves.
Cool.
What do you think? I don't know how to end it.
Future. Well, you already talked about the future of the podcast.
Well, I can edit it. We don't have to. It doesn't have to chronologically go. I think it's good there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you want to do the outro by saying goodbye to everyone, or just cut it at that?
Bye, everybody.
I feel like kind of just slowly fade, as
Yeah.
slowly fade out as we're talking about the opportunity and the future.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I have to see it.
To buy everybody.
Let's just do buying. It's always better to have it in case.
Yeah.
Well, Sal, one episode in the books. I'm looking forward to many more. We're going to have some brilliant guests on here. Maybe even Sal could sing a little bit. You never know.
Probably not.
Yeah. But, Sal, it was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Agreeing to be my co-host. And
Of course.
I'm really looking forward to taking this journey with you.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Thank you for making my TikTok relevant.
No problem, buddy.
I got 3 million views on a video of me basically copying something some other guy did, which is all TikTok is.
That literally all TikTok is.
That's all TikTok is people. I love how people are commenting like, oh, try to be original. I'm like, this is TikTok.
That's the
Everything's
point.
stolen.
That's the point. Yeah.
My sister was talking about those commercials that they have where they use all different TikTok things.
Yeah.
And she's thinking none of those people are probably getting paid
No.
because you kind of just give your stuff up when you're on
Yeah.
TikTok.
I always tell people you're making that trade-off.
Yeah.
That's what social media is.
3 million views on some bullshit. God bless this guy.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.